Hi, I'm Matt.
And I'm AK.
Welcome to Monster Week, an annual community event created and organized by Jenny D and Pointy Hat to bring together TTRPG creators on YouTube.
And
this year's theme, yes?
Oh, no, I was just so ready, but please keep going.
Oh.
What's the theme?
This year's theme is Dragon.
We happen to be creators right here on YouTube. We have a channel called The Pocket Dimension.
And on that channel, we have a show called ADHD20, where AK and I explore the intersection of ADHD and
TTRPGs. Only today, we will be exploring the intersection of ADHD and Dragon. This is Dragon Week! Yay!
Get it?
Just a couple things right up here at the top before we dive in.
Two treat things.
Two treat things right here at the top before we dive on in. Matt and I, we have ADHD, but we're not medical professionals. We cannot diagnose you.
No, please, you don't want to ask us. We in fact were diagnosed as adults, and we use both our show ADHD20 and playing TTRPGs as a way to explore and better understand our own neurodivergence.
So we just want to say that in no way, shape, or form meant to be mean-spirited or poke any fun at anybody.
Nope.
So now that we have gotten the rules and regulations out, the table rules, if you will, gotta roll up my sleeves. I gotta get ready. It's Dragon Week, you guys. I'm so excited. Let's go. So yes, this very special presentation of ADHD20, we're calling it Color Me Chaotic. It's what your, I don't know why I'm like this, but it's what your favorite dragon says about your particular flavor of neurospice.
And it is colorful and delicious.
Two great tastes that taste great together. Just like ADHD and TTRPGs, wouldn't you say?
It's true.
All of our conclusions were drawn from memes, vibes, and other purely anecdotal evidence.
It is about vibes, AK, and we would actually love to hear how you would vibe out these dragons.
Yeah.
Like if these are our opinions about which dragon would have a neurospicy brain. We could be you could have your own opinions. We love to hear them.
You're welcome to disagree with us. It's okay. We can take it.
We like being disagreed with.
We like opinionated opinions here in the Pocket Dimension, okay? Are you ready to dive in, Maddie?
I'm so ready to dive in. I also want to say at the start, there's a lot of dragons that we did not include. We know. Yeah, there's so many dragons, right? So just wanted to say, don't get angry if you're dragon, if you're pseudo dragon, literally and figuratively. Ooh, dang, is not included today. They still exist. So tell us what you think.
Well, and it's funny you bring that up because I think the whole reason that we're even here, that we're even aware of the fact that there's a Monster Week and that this year's theme is dragons, we actually did a tournament of dragons on our live show back in January, February of this year. And our community, who we love dearly, but they are very opinionated and very spicy, raked us across the coals and let us know all of the dragons out there. It was a March Madness style tournament of dragons where we pitted dragon versus dragon all the way down until we had the champion. It was so much fun, but we left out so many dragons and we heard all about it. So
why do dragons capture the hearts and minds of
so many
beings?
So with that, let's get underway.
Let's dive in. Let's get it.
Let's get it.
Sparkles.
This is one of my personal favorite dragons, Figment, if you're not familiar. So, calling this Dungeons and Dopamine. Things that you, dear ADHD fellow, have in common with a dragon. Let's just set the baseline here. So why are our brains very similar to our favorite scaled tyrants? Well, first of all, we're both real good at hyperfocus, locking onto one shiny thing and then forgetting the rest of the material plane even exists. Prevalent in both dragons and ADHDers. Maddie, this one's for you.
Sure. Time blindness. It is definitely for me because it is a particular trait that I hold dear.
Not to call you out or anything.
Dear to my heart. Yeah, okay. Time blindness means that these dragons have no idea whether it has been 5 minutes or 5 centuries hanging out in their lair.
Do you think that's why they live so long? Because they just forgot to die?
Yes.
I do.
I don't know, but it's a big deal.
Okay.
It's a big deal.
Calling Matt out, now I'm going to call myself out. Impulsivity as the impulse gremlin of the pocket dimension, acting on instinct before strategy.
Yes.
Whoops.
Yes. We also have inattentiveness. We all know the downfall of many a mighty dragon has been a distraction.
Oopsie.
Yeah.
RSD, rejection-sensitive dysphoria, interpreting one villager's tone as a declaration of war. How many senseless deaths have our characters had to bear because of a dragon's RSD? How many senseless fights have we had to have as friends because of my RSD? Whew.
Well, and here's the thing. It's commonly misdiagnosed as pride. But no, actually, it's deep hurt. It's deep pain.
Deep.
In dragons, at least. In
Yep.
dragons. Catastrophizing is assuming a missed message means the kingdom has fallen.
Yep, just going from like 0 to 1,000 with no steps in between.
Yeah.
So many options. Overstimulation. Too many sounds, too many lights, too many bards singing at once. Something that dragons can't handle, and also I can't handle. Even though I am usually one of those bards singing. Oops.
Yeah.
Sorry.
That's okay. This one is also very important, and to help understand your dragon kin. Masking is pretending to be a majestic, regal being while secretly spiraling inside.
Nobody has to know. Nobody's gonna know.
Nobody has to know. Yeah.
And finally, task paralysis, wanting to reorganize the horde, but instead ending up asleep on top of it.
Right.
Never happens to us.
Right. Yes. I mean, think about it. All of these beautiful images, Smaug and so many dragons pictured as just like taking a nap on their giant ass pile of loot. Well, truth be told, they woke up that morning and they were going to organize things.
But they forgot to take their vibe ants.
They didn't take 5 ants.
All right.
We got it.
Well, let's jump on into our first group of dragons then.
Okay.
I wanted to be positive about this. Originally, I put living on the edge of a breakdown, but I decided to say, let's have a breakthrough together here today. So we're going to talk through our dear chromatic dragons first. So up first, we've got the red dragon. You know her, you love her. And so some aspects, some tenets, some traits of ADHD, if you will, that we think you might share with the red dragon. We are calling her our Dopamine Diva. She is known for her impulsivity and her emotional intensity. Coming out of the gate, feeling seen already. So some things that we know to be true about red dragons. They see a shiny thing. They burn 3 cities to get that shiny thing.
Yes.
They operate entirely on desire and gut instinct. They've got big emotions, big reactions, and not really good with those cooling off periods. The unmedicated brain cell, just the one that thinks that it's in charge and it's leading the purge of whatever we're purging on any given day.
Right.
And, you know, with that impulsivity coming in, yells, "I got this!" without even knowing what this is.
That sounds like a red dragon.
It sounds like a red dragon. Just, you know, breathing fire first and asking questions never.
It's that constant need to find the next thing and just feeling that itchy heat.
Ooh.
I call it itchy. Other people,
Itchy.
I'm sure, call it other things. But for me, I get itchy. I'm like, yep.
So if you identify with many of these things as you look deep inside the stillness of your own heart and one single navigating brain cell, you just might be classified as a red dragon.
A dopamine diva.
Our dopamine diva. Who is next?
The blue. The blue is master of the mask. I love this one. You know, being diagnosed later in life, typically means that you've spent a good amount of that life masking, trying to fit in any way that you can, and doing things that are very difficult for you inherently, right? Well, the blue feels your pain. Masking and over control is the key. Well, look at this.
Aww. Meant to be.
Perfect timing. Obsessively organized, but only on their terms. That's me.
Yeah, I can find anything in here. You can't touch it.
Oh my gosh. I mean, I'll even go along with somebody else's organization, but man, if they move that thing ever, my whole world crashes and burns. Controlling everything to keep the internal static at bay, right? Appears competent because they have to, again, right? And these are things that you learn.
Yep.
That's what masking is about.
Yep.
It can't really be taught to you. You don't want to learn it because you really shouldn't. You should find people like us to talk to and say, oh, I totally understand. You don't have to be like, this is a safe space, blah, blah, blah. But otherwise you're overcorrecting ADHD. And what that does, that's when you start hearing about the comorbidities, right? The depression or the anxiety or these other things, because you can't do it. So you're trying to fit in is only fighting biology, really.
Yes.
So this last one is something that we both experience all the time. You plan everything down to the minute. Our calendars are full, but lunch, where does lunch? And lunch is so important because lunch, it gives you a protein or something so that your brain can feed. And then it's 5 o'clock and you are just like, you're glitching out.
But if I stop for lunch, I'll lose my hyperfocus and I won't be able to control the outcome of the things that I need to.
Yeah. So that's old blue. That's old blue with Master of the Mask.
Old bluey. I feel a very soft spot in my heart for old bluey.
Oh, hell yeah.
Moving on to this one. So cute. Green, the overthinker, noted by verbal overload and social sensitivity. Talks too much. Overanalyzes every single word of it later. Oh, the nights I have laid awake just engaging in some good old Allison on Allison violence for all the dumb things that I said that day, that week, that year, that month when I was in 4th grade. Who knows? Ooh. I remember it all. If I ever said anything on the precipice of idiotic to you, I remember it, and I kick myself for it daily.
Which is so sad because we can watch the same movie about 15 times.
No idea.
Because we forget the ending.
Yep.
We don't remember that.
But I remember the conversation.
But remember dumb things that we said? Oh, yeah.
Constantly worried that they said the wrong thing, even when alone. Yes, I do chide myself when I'm both mean and too nice to myself. Hyper aware of tone, subtext, and the vibe in the room. Honestly, because we've learned to have to be, because so many of us have either had such a time deciphering other people's both verbal and nonverbal cues that we get so focused in on it that we kind of don't see the forest for the trees sometime.
Right.
Thinks every, hey, can we talk is a prelude to exile.
I don't have that issue quite as much, but boy, does Allison.
Oh, boy, I do.
Oh, man. I'll never forget when you told me. I mean, we've done an episode about this very moment, but when you told me that every single time I said, hey, can we talk?
Got a minute?
Just meaning what you doing this weekend? And you were paralyzed.
Matt's going to tell me he doesn't want to be my friend anymore. Truly, my brain goes straight there. So just saying hey, I want to talk to you about XYZ will do so much for me, because otherwise I will find all the space in there to fill with my own chaotic thoughts. And then finally, masters of the long-winded story, followed by sorry if that was weird. We can tangent, we can catastrophize. Alrighty. Moving along to our next chromatic dragon.
This one's very scary. And when you're talking about ADHD, and the concept of rejection sensitivity dysphoria is a relatively new trait that they're tacking on to people with ADHD. It also applies to people that are on the autistic spectrum. It also applies to people with OCD. It's not specific to ADHD. However, it does affect us all in very different ways.
Should we give like a quick little definition of what it is?
Yes, please.
Rejection-sensitive dysphoria is a common occurrence, as Matt has just shared, where you interpret a neutral reaction most often as a negative. You might take something where somebody says, like, sure, come if you'd like, but that's not a positive, like, yes, I'd like for you to come. And you automatically make that about, like, oh, I guess they don't want to hang out with me because they didn't invite me in the first place, and they seem to not really care if I come or go, and it just... I mean, that's why we called this one the spiraling Sentinel, because it starts up here and then you can just take it all the way down if you're not here.
All the way to hell. Yeah, it's all about hearing rejection, even when there isn't.
Even when there isn't.
That's you're sensitive to it, and then there's the dysphoria as well. I mentioned depression and stuff, and you'll see a lot of RSD and that mood volatility. Sure, you can bounce around mood-wise within a day. Like, this day's dark. 2 hours later, best day ever. It feels like every perceived slight, like it's a prophecy fulfilled. That's a really good way of putting it, I think. Emotional armor out of sarcasm and avoidance. Daria, you know who you are, the Darias of the world, actively stewing over something from last century.
It's that time blindness that'll get you every time.
That's a good one. Exactly.
Time blindness plus RFD, lethal combination, y'all.
Lethal. Okay, this is a really good one. Moves into the swamp to avoid confrontation, and then resents not being invited anywhere.
I think we all have a little bit of that in us, don't we?
That's awesome. Defensive? Maybe. Dramatic? Definitely. Wrong? Still maybe. Of course, there's levels to all of this. I think between we two friends, I don't mind being wrong as much as you do.
Did you guys see the way that Matt just tried to tiptoe around my RSD?
That's what you have to do with friends. That's what you can do with friends. That's what you can. So, get to know your friends. No, but I don't
need to be right. I need to be right when I'm right.
There it is.
There it is. If I'm wrong, I will fully admit it. But if I'm right, I will burn down entire villages so that everybody knows I was right.
Yes.
Is that... That's totally normal, right?
Totally normal. Absolutely. Happens to everybody, yes.
Interesting. Who's the last promos? We've got our white dragon called the Feral Freeze. Executive dysfunction, anyone?
Great, man. Oh, man. If you know, you know.
You know. And the white dragon knows what needs to be done, but isn't gonna do it. The white dragon has finally figured out to use time boxing on their calendar instead of time blocking, because the second that the white dragon, even tasks they give themselves, like raid village, burn to ground, loot, the second it becomes an assignment, white dragon wants nothing to do with it.
Right. Sometimes, especially if white dragon gives it to themselves.
Yep.
Excitedly. And it's something that they want to do. If it's on the calendar.
Now it's a task. Now it's homework. I revolt. Operates on instinct and immediate gratification. Yeah, the white dragon loves a nap, loves a snack. If the task is boring, this is kind of going back to number one, might as well be cursed. Must be stimulated and stimulating at all points in their existing, otherwise wants nothing to do with it. Motivation is a myth, but hibernation, now that's a lifestyle. I feel a deep kinship with the white dragon on that point. Might be feral, might be cozy, probably both.
¿Por qué no los dos?
¿Por qué no los dos? Again, two great tastes that taste.
The feral cozy.
Great. To get feral cozy, kind of chasing their own tail around their lair.
Yeah.
Probably forgot to go out and attack anything because, it just kind of moved further and further down the task list and just learned to make do with the things. I don't need friendship. I don't need a bigger layer. I'm good. I'm good with what I got.
So watch it. Yeah, if you have friends like that, maybe just give them a little
just check in on them. They might be in a freeze. They might be in functional freeze, as we call it. And that concludes our chromatic dragons. So curious so far, go ahead and comment if you're leaning towards any of these chromatic dragons or if you're waiting to see what's going to go on in the land.
Metallique. So here's the thing, AK. In many lores of Dungeons and Dragons and other TTRPGs, the chromatic dragons are the evil ones.
They're not evil, they're just misunderstood.
They're just, and we tried to paint them as just being misunderstood. But I do like the way that it turned out that a lot of the chromatic dragons were dealing with a sort of an aggressive challenge, right? Like actively trying to mask or hide or deal with or organize, right? But then when we hit the metallic dragons, who are oftentimes portrayed as the good ones, they don't get off scot-free.
No, they don't.
Honestly,
it is all panic, no disco up in here with these metallics.
It's the sadder part.
Listen. All we want from you watching this right now is the next time around your tables with your parties and your campaigns, you play a dragon. We just want you to use these to give the dragon a little depth.
Do you think of them as all having ADHD?
Go ahead and play an RSD adult dragon and tell us how it goes. I want to know.
Bring it on, man.
Bring it on. Alrighty, so Honor Among Hoarders, the Metallic Edition. Let's dive in. Maddie, you want to tell us about the shiny gold dragon?
This is beautiful. Yeah, the Overachiever, which a lot of times in modern society is seen as being a good thing, is being the way to go. Ball straight. Let's get it. Get her done. Overcommitment, perfectionism equals burnout. Right?
I probably should have put an equal sign.
And that's what the gold is dealing with. Yeah. That's what she's dealing with. If it can't be done flawlessly, it's not worth starting.
Agree. Hard agree.
Big damn deal. This dragon makes 3 to-do lists, color codes them, and then cries under them.
It's lonely at the top.
I have. That's a good one. That's a really good one. Yeah, you make so many to-do. I'll add a little bit to that. If you manage to hold back your tears, chances are these 3 to-do lists that are color-coded might also just get lost. That's a very strong possibility.
Or you'll start a 4th project to organize those 3.
Yes. In my world, you try out a new to-do app.
Yep.
That's how I do it. The result is this inevitable same. Tears. Tears. This is a dragon that's praise dependent, but somehow also deeply self-critical. Yeah. That's a dangerous combo. Has hobbies, but oh wow.
I'm sorry. Damn it.
I think we know which one of these Matt's gonna be. Has hobbies, but only as productivity projects.
Just want to see if I can do it. That's all.
Secretly very tired, but will not rest until everything is perfect. Yeah. Well, you know what? I will say, I'll give myself a little more credit. I definitely was a gold dragon. I have been a gold dragon in the past. Maybe a little less now.
Yeah, I see and honor that. honor among
A little bit.
these two hoarders.
Still a trap. I mean, because look at her.
Look at her.
Just gorgeous.
Yeah, I agree.
Yep.
All right. Thank you, Gold Dragon.
So, where there's gold, there must be
Silver. The Oversharer bonds by telling you their entire life story at least twice. The amount of times that my friends have just had to be like, Allison, we've heard that story. I'm just trying to connect with you. And that's the other thing. ADHDers can be so misunderstood because people think that we're trying to like steal the spotlight and make it about us. No, we're using empathy to try and connect with you and show you that we've been there and we understand the situation that you're in. Okay?
And we also do have, we actually do have a broken long-term memory thing, majig, which doesn't help us with the telling
the telling of the stories and the retelling of the stories and the connecting through emotions, feels your emotions more than their own. Probably, that hypothesis time, we could probably do an entire ADHD20 episode on this right here. Feels your emotions more than their own, probably because of masking. They have learned to just bury that deep down inside so nobody knows what they're going through. But man alive, are they tuned in to what somebody else might be going through and displaying.
100% me. That's I'm seen by the silver.
By the silver fox and the silver dragon. Needs reassurance that the vibe is okay at least every 3 to 5 minutes. Evan, also on the part of the pocket dimension, calls it pinging. And I use that a lot now. I'm going to ping you and make sure. We good? We cool? You having fun?
Yeah.
Do you want to leave? Can I get you anything? Can I make you more comfortable? Offering support before you ask because they already imagined your discomfort. Probably because of catastrophizing and RSD, if we're being honest. And then we'll casually reveal a childhood trauma just to make you feel less weird. Again, trauma bonding run deep.
This is too real, man.
And
too real.
Yeah.
It's just too real.
That's the thing with oversharers is that we are info dumpers. We just want to make sure that you know that we get you and like leaving nothing on the table, man.
I know that some people would disagree with me big time, but I personally don't mind oversharing. I actually like it. Moving to the Midwest where folk are a little bit more to themselves, or maybe just a big city, but I don't know, just less sit on your porch all day like
have
the Southerners.
Sweet tea and gossip about our neighbors.
Have some sweet tea and gossip. A little bit less of that. I do miss the oversharing of the South. I think there's a lot of
y'all don't want to know the things that go on in the text chain with my closest friends. There is no stone of any of our lives unturned and uncovered, and we like it that way because here's the other thing is neurospicy types tend to travel in packs. So if you look around and all of your friends are ADHD, we've got news for you if you don't know already.
It's true.
So I have entire tech threads with people just dedicated to the art of oversharing every mundane detail of our days and lives, and I love it. And if you don't have friends like that, please get you some. Please get you some.
It helps. It really does help.
Matthew, please tell us about the bronze dragon.
I will tell you about bronze, the stimulation seeker. Novelty chasing, playful distractibility.
They're so cute.
I know. Really cute. Really cute. A bronze will start a new hobby mid-sentence. Prone to accidental adventures while avoiding responsibilities. Oh, man. Turns errands into side quests and side quests into musicals. Yes. Constantly poking the narrative just to see what happens.
Playful distractions.
They might be distracted, but they are deeply committed to being entertained.
Or entertaining.
This, I mean, I would say that this, if there was like a poster child for ADHD in the public, you might see the bronze.
Yeah.
I think the bronze is a pretty good, like, I'm a sitcom, I'm going to make fun of somebody who has ADHD. I'm going to see a bronze dragon.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's the novelty chasing for me, though. That's what, like, beyond the masking comes the, like, it's got to be fresh. It's got to be new. I've got to keep going. I've got to keep searching. I've got to just, that's what stands out for me in this one.
It's true.
And I love it.
I love it too.
Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. I'm loving it. The copper boy, the deflector, hyperverbal, and uses humor as masking. So Chandler Bing in dragon form.
Yes.
Jokes first, feelings later, or never.
Yeah.
You choose.
I mean, who cares? Who's got time?
Yep. Weaponizes wit to dodge vulnerability like a pro. Will derail an entire conversation for a punchline. We all know a copper dragon. As I'm going through these things, I can see you seeing them in your mind's eye right now.
I can see me holding a punchline for a joke for 20 minutes.
Yep. Cannot resist wordplay, even in serious moments, especially in serious moments. That's me. That's me. And then laughs through spirals so convincingly, even they believe it's fine. Hug your copper dragon.
That one ended on a super sad.
And that's the thing, is like it's fun to be the funny guy, the funny gal, the funny person, the funny one, but just checking in and making sure they're good. Mm-hmm. Not every situation has to be funny, and learning. I think that's honestly been like one of the best parts of the podcast for me, Matt, is that I think maybe prior to ADHD20, this was me, and learning not to dodge that vulnerability anymore, that some of the best conversations are the more serious ones. And that doesn't mean you can't have fun all of the other times.
I would say so. And I would say also that, to tie something together that we started talking about earlier in this podcast, that it has improved your game at the table. It has improved your ability to take a character and have real emotions, real moments with others, convincing without jokes.
I think that's maybe exactly it, and something that does beautifully tie into like TTRPGs and neurospice, right? Is, the second part of this, or third, will derail an entire conversation for a punchline. When you're sitting there thinking about like the funny thing you want to say, the moment you want to steal, the way you want to be, you're not actively engaged in the moment. And the best role players are the ones that are like in their active listening era of listening, not to respond, but to understand. And that's something we talk about on the podcast. That's hard, but really helpful for our brains. When we feel seen, heard, and understood, we are at our best.
Yeah.
And it's, I think, the mark of a really good, there's a lot of improv in TTRPGs. And so when you've got somebody who's so immersed in a scene and what their fellow players are giving them, that it no longer becomes about them being the hero or the funny one or any of those things, but really just pinging off of each other, it really does create something that you can't really put into words. You just kind of have to experience.
Yeah, that's so true.
It's okay, Copper Dragon. We see you, and we're going to love you through this.
Yeah, we're gonna help you there.
Finally,
Copper Brass, maybe a cousin, the verbal processor, emotional unloading, and working memory woes. It's interesting that these are put together, the emotional unloading and working memory woes. Mm-hmm. I don't have anything else to say about that, but it's an interesting combo.
Let's get to the bottom of it. Honestly.
Let's figure this out. Speaks to remember, speaks to think, speaks to function. Sure. Yes. I am not necessarily one of these people. I definitely have met them. I know them. I love them. If it's not said out loud, it's already forgotten. Needs to narrate their own life or risk losing the plot. Yeah. Mid-sentence topic changes equals brain tab refreshes. Relies on talking like other dragons rely on hoards. So the interesting thing about this, the one that I really understand so well is the mid-sentence topic change equals a brain tab refresh. I think this is this is a perfect example of masking, in fact, for me, in that I have learned perhaps to not talk as much.
Okay.
I talk plenty. I'm not like I'm not like the cool, silent, sexy type. I'm really not. I'll jabber on for hours. But I don't feel. I feel like I knew other people with ADHD that this was a big part of their life, the brass. And I said, that's not for me. That doesn't seem to be working. And so what I did was sometimes do the opposite. But the part that is still there, that's still very challenging, is the working memory woe.
Yep.
And yes, it is very much like, I don't think we ever used this analogy before, the brain tab refresh.
Yeah.
So what's happening is that your brain is here and your mouth is here. And in that situation, my brain has already finished the conversation and then I'm speaking.
Yep.
Right? And this is a big problem, not just for being able to communicate effectively, but it also makes editing podcasts and videos really, really annoying.
Yep. We discovered early on in ADHD20 that I spoke Matt too fluently and didn't push him to finish his sentences. And so there were times where I knew exactly what he was saying, but he didn't ever actually say it out loud. And so then we'd be editing the podcast and be like, you didn't verbally finish that sentence. And it was such a beautiful thought you had. I knew exactly what you were doing, what you were saying, what you were doing. So there's been some fun editing sessions as a result of that.
Now that I'm less into masking when I can help it, I appreciate the brass dragons more.
Yep.
I still don't. It's still not my way, but I see it working for them, and being able to speak out loud and say, now I'm doing this. Now I'm picking up this cup. Here's a blue cup. I'm going to drink from it. I think that hopefully they're not really doing that. Maybe they are. But I feel like there is a power in their finding that.
Yep. I'm gonna shatter some glass on you real quick, Maddie. So Matt and I love to point out one another's like vocal stems to one another. I tend to make little like da 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 like, and I have to do it like every single time, and it becomes like the thing that's attached to that task in my mind. So it's like, oh, we're starting a Discord call. Da 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 da. Hey, let's talk. Ben, don't ever get like like the car chimes or like the subways. I drive because I don't realize I'm doing it. So so like on the subway, I will literally bing bong with them, and it drives people crazy and all you have to do is tell me, and then I become more aware of it. You do vocally stem your tasks.
Oh, damn it.
And it's not annoying at all, but I've always tethered it to your working memory challenges.
Yeah, it is.
And so, no, you do not say like, okay, I am picking this up. I am going to put this on my lips now. Okay, no, that's not what I'm saying that you do. But there is this like, like we'll be like leaving to go somewhere. And okay, I've got my sunglasses are there to keys, And so, and I think that's what, I wouldn't say you do this in like an emotional unloading way, but I think that there is a connection between emotional and verbal processing, unloading, whatever you want to call it, and 100%. And working memory. And so there are aspects of working through things audibly, verbally, whatever you want to call it, or it doesn't exist to your daily processes. I'm so sorry if that's news.
Not news at all.
Okay.
I mean, but I started saying that I knew that it was a thing in my life, and I tried very hard to do my best about hiding it.
Yes.
Obviously, it is still a big deal. Another thing that I do incessantly that's very helpful is I I take notes.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the times that you see me kind of backing away from a conversation, like, yeah, but that's me. I'm fine. Is me realizing, oh, I could keep going on forever, and I could keep talking about this, and I could keep over-explaining, and I can validate what happened to me by speaking it aloud, right? So luckily I am aware of it.
Okay.
To a degree. I'm very, very aware of the working memory.
Yeah.
Whoa. You just don't seem to have that issue nearly as much. I'm so jealous. If there's one thing that I'm so jealous of your version of ADHD is that you don't have to deal with that as much.
Yeah. I have a lot going on up here, and somehow, like, I know what's going on better up here than if I try and, like, put it out into the world. Yeah. But the problem is that when you are so hyper aware of everything, it drives you crazy. Because you're like, what about this? What about this? What about that? We haven't done that. We didn't. Like, it's just this nonstop ticker tape in my brain that sometimes I wish I could shut it up. Sometimes I want to say ticker tape. Shut the fuck up.
It's true. That's true.
All right.
That's brass.
So we have now covered and again, as Matt so beautifully said at the beginning of this, we know that there are many other beautiful dragons that we could have covered.
So many.
But we didn't think that you cared about a 3-hour presentation.
Right.
And we'll always come back and do more. So I think the time has come for us to talk about. Time. So I think it would be fun if we diagnose each other and then also say like what we most associated with. Okay, I know what I'm going to do for you. And I'm going to kind of play this a little bit Daggerhearty. We had the pleasure of getting to guest on Megaphone Man on his channel and build a Daggerheart dragon. And so for those of you unfamiliar with Daggerheart yet, get in our Discord, get on our channel. We love it so much. It's so much fun to play. But with the ancestries of Daggerheart, one of the things that makes the system so infinitely flexible is when we talk about our ancestry, you can kind of take... when you want to be of two different heritages, you can essentially cherry pick. You can pick and choose the best parts. So you can say, I want to take the wings from a fairy, and I want to take the inability to be frightened or not needing to sleep from an elf, and you can put the two things together.
Yeah. So that's what we're doing here.
So because of that, for you, Matthew, I'm going to take the working memory woes of the brass dragon that we've just discussed.
Mm-hmm.
That's your daddy, and I'm going to pair it with your mommy, the white dragon, the executive dysfunction feral freeze.
Yeah, that's dead on, man.
Is what I'm going to choose as your parental units that have made this beautiful, shiny, pearlescent, gorgeous, glistening.
There's only one part of the white that I have to disagree with, or at least this list on the white. Yeah. And that is motivation is a myth, hibernation is a lifestyle.
Yeah.
Because I certainly have a difficulty with motivation.
Yeah.
But it's so rarely that I don't have things that I want to do.
Right. Yeah. You're not
or can do.
Let me go hide under the covers type. No, you're just going to go get hyperfixated.
Hibernation is actually, I wish I could hibernate. I wish I could chill.
So
that's the tough
motivation is a myth. Hyperfixation is where it's at for you. That would be the more, and that's exactly the thing. Like, and same thing with the brass dragon. A lot of this doesn't apply to you, but the things that do apply to you is kind of where I'm coming from.
Yeah.
And because there are also parts of gold in you as well. So
yeah,
we're all mixed. We're all a nice pot of stew with lots of different flavors flavoring us.
Yeah. I don't know if I'm going to do as good of a job as you did, but I know that as far as the chromatic side goes, has to be green.
Okay.
I don't know that you talk too much, but I know that you overanalyze it, all of it later. I mean, too much is a pretty thing, but all the rest of it, worried that you say the wrong thing, hyper aware of tone, subtext, and vibe. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
This is 100% my chromatic pick for myself.
Yeah.
Not even a contest. The
metallic is harder for me.
Okay.
I'm going I'm going to boldly say silver. But I'm on the fence between silver and gold.
Okay.
I feel like if there was a silver and gold dragon together, I think that would be your metallic. That's what I'm going
I think that So,
do you agree?
Do you want me to share mine for me first, or do you want to share yours for you first? Because I also want to hear your takes.
Oh, you got mine.
Oh, I did.
Yeah.
Good job. Good job.
Good job.
And mine were absolutely green and silver for the record. So you also got mine. The gold, I don't disagree. And I mean, obviously, I think that there's some of us in all of these things. Yeah, like there were definitely like beats in here for each of them. Gold for me is less about my flavor of neurospice and more about being the eldest daughter.
Sure.
And I'm the eldest daughter of the eldest daughter. And
we both are.
Yeah.
We're both the eldest daughters.
And so this actually feels more like birth order. We've never done that. We should do that on an episode, like weighing like what's birth order versus. And so not only am I eldest daughter, but I also am 10 years older than my brother. So I display a ton of only child symptoms as well. And so when I look at the gold list, I don't associate any of these with my ADHD, but just like my adolescent upbringing.
That makes sense.
We're going deep here. But silver feels like super spot on for me.
Yeah.
I definitely am an info dumper. I'm definitely a trauma bonder. Sorry.
I would say I think that we both started out with more gold in our blood.
Yeah.
More gold dragon in our blood.
Yeah.
And honestly, once again, thanks to this Ding Dang podcast, I think I have let a lot of that, I've donated a lot of that blood.
You're so giving. You've donated gold.
I'm glad to be rid of it.
Well, that was super fun.
Super
like
fun.
we said, take these, take what resonates, leave what doesn't, as spiritual TikTok would tell us.
Yes.
I'm interested. I really do want to hear from anybody who watches this what you identify with or disagree with.
Many thanks to Jenny D and Pointy Hat and the entire super cool community of people that make videos like this one.
We look forward to seeing what it is next year and continuing to be part of the Monster Week group.
Monster Week.
We wanted to leave you with this thought. We take a little bit of issue with people like ADHD is your superpower, right?
I have a little bit too much white dragon in it to feel like I have superpowers. But I like this.
But so here's our Dragon Week reframe for our neurospicy friends and ourselves. You're legendary, baby.
Yeah. You're legendary. You have actions. Sometimes they work. Sometimes they don't. But it does allow you to act directly after other PCs attack you.
Sometimes your mom was right and your hoard really is too messy and it is going to fall all around you and trap you. Okay? Sometimes. Sometimes.
It really does sometimes.
So yeah.
Oh man.
Well, smash that subscribe button, smash that like button.
Please.
Our Discord is a great place to talk about this with all of we have the coolest people in our Discord. Shout out to our community.
Best Discord.
And so it's free. Slide on in there. We'll leave the link for you in the show description.
This podcast has had 50 plus some episodes that you can get on any of your podcatching services of that you love. Podcatching.
Love it.
Services. And of course YouTube. So please, if you've liked this and you're like, wow, those two certainly can't diagnose me in any way, but they're fun. We'll take it.
It won't stop us from trying though.
That's right. You're legendary. We said we can't diagnose you, and then we end with you're legendary, which I think is a diagnosis.
You're a legend.
You're a legend.
You're a legend. You're a legend, Maddie.
You're a legend. You're a legend, AK.
Well, and that's the way we always do, just making random noises until eventually it fades out and cuts us off. Yeah, we're dragons. Chromatic dragons. Metallic dragons.